Speaking of Lamar Jackson, you could either play on a team where Lamar Jackson is the quarterback and you're guaranteed a Super Bowl, but as the leading receiver, you might have 858-yard season like Zay Flowers did max. Or you could go to a team like Miami, Dallas, Detroit, where, they're slinging that thing. I know 2 of those have been eliminated, so they're not going to the Super Bowl, but they're slinging that thing. And perhaps your Hall of Fame career is solidified.
You can have CeeDee Lamb,
1,500-yard season.
1,700.
I've had big seasons. I don't necessarily need the 1,700. That would feel great. And now, if you told me I was going to get the record, I might have to think about something different. If you said 2K, then that might be a little different. I have to think about it. But if you're giving me a bowl and I get to get out there with Dub and Lamar and have fun, boys be having, I think I might take that 900 and keep it. Give me 10 tugs and I'm good.
Davante Adams was released from the Jets today, which makes it a lot easier for teams around the league to acquire him now. Now he's going to have to want to go there because he decides his own destiny now, but at least you don't have that big expensive contract that he was on, and you don't have to give up a draft pick to the Jets. So he is officially a free agent, and free agency kicks off next week. So we'll see where Davante Adams ends up going. The question is, what does he want? Does he want to maximize production and money? Or does he want to go play for a contender, take a little bit of a reduced role, but have a really good shot at winning the Super Bowl? I'm hearing some rumors that he wants to be back on the West Coast. I think the Packers return does make some sense too. But would he fit with the Ravens? We heard him in the intro saying that he would love to play with Lamar Jackson and would probably be open to having 800, 900 yards and a Super Bowl win with the Ravens than to go have another 1,700-yard receiving season and play for a team that has no chance of winning. So it does seem like he would be interested, but dollars do talk. The Ravens do not have much cap room, and I personally don't think that wide receiver is the number one priority. I think that we need to allocate, first of all, we need to clear some cap room. I mean, still, there's a lot of other teams making moves. The Ravens have made 0 moves so far. Are we going to restructure or extend anyone? Are there any trades about to happen? The Ravens have not cleared any cap room yet. I still think that will happen this week since free agency is literally next week. So the Ravens are going to clear up some money. They can probably clear up as much as they need to. If they really want to be aggressive, then they can clear up quite a bit of money. But I think that offensive line is still the priority, and then probably pass rush, and then probably another safety or corner before I would say we should allocate a lot of resources to the wide receiver position. But if we are getting all those other positions and want to go in, an all-in type move, then a receiver of Davante Adams' caliber does make perfect sense. It's not like he wouldn't help the Baltimore Ravens offense. I just don't think that it's a massive priority. We're going to have another very strong run game. I think that building up that offensive line as much as possible should stay priority number one, and that probably means, with the limited resources that we do have right now, that probably means that we would never go spend a ton of money on a Davante Adams. But we did give Odell quite a bit of money a few years ago, and I think Davante Adams is way less of a risk. Davante Adams would definitely come in and be our number one receiver, and we kind of have another 1A and 1B with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman already. So you really would have 3 number one receivers in a sense, but Davante Adams is very proven in this league and consistently produces. He is that true X receiver that the Ravens have been missing, so it's not like he wouldn't lift this offense. He definitely would. At this point, unless we start really aggressively clearing a lot of money, there's no way that we're going to prioritize bringing in a Davante Adams over beefing up this offensive line, making a move for pass rusher. And by beefing up the offensive line, I mean a Mekhi Becton, or bring back Ronnie. Invest in someone that's going to be here on this offensive line and produce right now and for the future. And then we can turn our attention to just rounding out depth of the roster through the rest of free agency, bringing a couple guys back like Tylan Wallace and Chris Porter, Malik Harrison, those types of guys, or Darius Washington. Bring back all those guys, invest in a Ronnie, invest in a Mekhi Becton if you don't bring back a Ronnie, something like that, and then just attack the draft. Based off how the Ravens always operate, that seems to be the road that they are headed on. We'll see if a Mark Andrews trade or an Odafe Owe trade, kind of throws a wrinkle in some of those plans and adds a new dynamic. But I don't see the Ravens going super aggressive in free agency by bringing in a Ronnie Stanley or Mekhi Becton type signing and then also a Davante Adams. That seems to be very aggressive. Now the Ravens could change the way they usually operate and get even more aggressive and try to make a move like that. It's not impossible. You know, Davante Adams is a free agent now, and I know he would be interested in coming here. So if everything from a numbers standpoint did line up, it's possible. I just don't think it's very likely at all, and it's not a normal Ravens move. This wouldn't be something that we should be expecting. You know, this is something that would definitely be a surprise if it ended up happening, but I'm not against it. Like I said, make this team as good as possible. I just think there's other things to prioritize before chasing a big ticket wide receiver. And the wide receiver free agent class this year is pretty stacked, man. You got Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen, Davante Adams. I mean, Chris Godwin, there's a lot of names, and that's just like the top of the class. There's a lot of depth there too. So I just really don't see the Ravens hunting at the top of that board and paying a wide receiver quite a bit of money. But it's interesting to talk about. He is released. He is a free agent now. You know, you're not going to have to pay Davante $30 million now. I don't think that's going to be the case. It'll be less than that. And if you gave him a 2-year deal, made the second year not guaranteed, you could probably lower the first year cap hit quite a bit and make it work, but it's still not going to be cheap. It's still a very aggressive move. So I don't think it's very likely that the Ravens go and get a Davante Adams. I don't think it's smart to prioritize that as your main option in free agency. But if you can fill some of the other holes that are more important, then by all means, man, stack the wide receiver room. I'm not against stacking the wide receiver room, but the offensive line is way more important. In other NFL news, Saquon Barkley just signed an extension to be the top paid running back in the NFL and really reset the running back market, which does affect Derrick Henry's next deal or extension that is coming. I don't think Derrick Henry will get these Saquon numbers. Saquon signed 2-year, $41.2 million extension. He is now the highest paid running back in NFL history, $20.6 million average per year, $36 million guaranteed at signing, $15 million available in incentives. This is a massive deal for a running back and a huge jump from last year. Like, we're talking about almost 100% increase from last year's running back contracts. And I think the value of running backs has now been reset and realized again. You know, what Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry did this season has brought a lot of value back to teams saying, hey, we need a running back. You know, running backs are important. Look what Saquon just did for the Eagles. You build a strong offensive line, have an elite running back in this league, you're going to be able to control games. And the Ravens had an incredible season, had one of the best offenses of all time with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And a Derrick Henry extension is probably on the way. Now, I don't think he's getting Saquon money because of his age. Saquon is 3 years younger than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's got a lot more tread on the tires, is 31, and is not going to get $20 million a season. But the point is that the Ravens were paying him $8 million last year and $10 million this year. That is an all-time steal for Derrick Henry right now in this new running back market. And he said he wants to be in Baltimore until he retires. I know the Ravens would like to get an extension done so that they can really lower this year's cap hit to probably $2 or $3 million, and you don't have that $10 million hit. You can get a $2-3 million hit and have him here for this year and probably next year, and then make, you know, the later numbers not guaranteed so that you can probably move on if he falls off or you want to go in a different direction. You have that flexibility. That's how I kind of see an extension going. But what are the numbers now? They're not $10 million. He's not getting the same thing that he just got even at his age. He's getting older, but I just don't see him agreeing to a $10 million deal when Saquon is getting $20 million a year. You know, I think Derrick Henry's probably going to want 13 or 15. And the running back market did become way too undervalued. I know it was cool for teams, you know, especially like the Ravens, who could go sign a running back for cheap that still had a lot of production. They really stole Derrick Henry in a low market. But running backs do have value in this league. Running the ball is super important. And with the salary cap increasing the way it does, with every other position increasing their pay, there's really no reason for running backs to get paid substantially less. I know they have shorter lifespans in the NFL. I know that they get hurt more. They take on more hits and damage to the body. I totally get it. I totally get that there's more risk there than a wide receiver potentially. But when wide receivers are getting 30 to 40 million now, and a running back was commanding 10 last year at the top, man. I mean, Saquon got what, 13? Like, that was the top of the market. That's way too low for a running back. You got pass rushers getting 30 plus million, quarterbacks 50, 60 million, and running backs are getting 5 to 10. It didn't make any sense. I mean, you were signing Josh Jacobs under 10 million, Derrick Henry under 10 million a year. Like, crazy numbers. So I think Saquon fairly reset the running back market to where it should be valued. It is well deserved. He had an incredible season. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Should we get super aggressive and go after Davante Adams, or are there just way too many other priorities and the Ravens would never do that? Let me know what you guys are thinking. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.